What's up, YouTube? I hope everyone is doing really well. Just getting back from a very inspirational service on today. And I said, let me come back. I talked about V Hill this morning. I talked about the situation with Lady Snoop on yesterday. And what really struck me is, what is your YouTube legacy? How will people remember you? And of course, we know that some people will like you, some people will not like you. But for the majority of the time, what are people going to remember you from? I know that this was a big reason for my change to say, okay, it's time to do some things differently. Even though my commentary was humorous and it was messy, but it was dictated by things that the beef sector did for the most part. And again, not railing against the beef sector because it is what it is and it evolved how it evolved. It really did. But even in the midst of the humor and this stuff, people got hurt. And as much as they don't want to admit it, that the humor was stinging. And with me, you all, I gotta be honest. I don't take things personal. I say, okay, this is what they said. Let me come with something better, or how can I be funny? And that's my thing. I realize that when you really don't take things seriously, and this is a gig for you, this is something that you do because you consider it your comedy, your stand up, if you will. Other people may not feel that way. And I really can say, I don't hate people. I can't go around hating people. I can't go around doing crazy stuff to people because I'm upset and this thing has really got me to the point that I am doing things that could adversely affect someone's livelihood or their life. Just don't really do that. And so I had to realize that everybody is not like me. Everybody is not going to banter back and forth. Some people really take this seriously, which is another problem in itself. And some things had to change. Now, what will your legacy be for YouTube? Will it be a legacy of lying? Now, I know people say, oh, you got a legacy of begging. Whatever you want to call it, I don't think, I think people gave they want to. And if you ask, the only thing people can say is yes, no, let me think about it. But I've always been upfront. I think a lot of people were upset back in the day, and sometimes today, is because I got it, and it really bugged people that folk would do that. But what is the legacy? And I'm looking at people now, presently, and this is why I think you have to evolve. This is why I'm about looking at evidence, either a part of the problem, part of the solution type thing. How can we bring people together or resolve issues? Some issues can't be resolved, and I understand that. Some things are just going to be not good, period, because people have gone too far. But even when we try to help people not go to the point of no return, I think that we are doing something that is going to be helpful to everyone. And that's what I will say. But, you know, I look at what's going on now. I don't hate Lady Snoop. I don't know Lady Snoop. But what I'm seeing with a lot of content creators, this goes for Larry Reed in his situation. This goes for Lady Snoop in her situation and a whole lot of other people in their situations. Folk don't want to take accountability, or they don't want to fess up and own what they have done. Now, you really don't have to be honest, but you cannot get upset when people call you out on it. And that's what the deal is. People are calling folk out on stuff. You said you didn't do it, but in one situation you said you did. Which one is it? And how can we believe you? And we have to realize that this is not the first time you've done this. You said that you didn't have relationships with someone to find out that you did have relationships with someone, but ridiculing why you wouldn't have relationships with someone who dated or had relationships with a certain type of person. And that's all I'm saying, is own it. Now, if you want a legacy like that, then do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. I just think that sometimes you got to change some things. People are not perfect, and I don't think people are looking for perfection. But I do think that if you keep on doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. And I think people are trying to do the same thing and think they're going to get different results, and it doesn't work out quite that way. Um, I'm not going with a lot of stuff. And there are lessons to be learned. There are lessons to be learned, and I don't think people learn the lessons. And even with subscribers, let me tell y'all something. Subscribers, these people are not your friends. I love entertaining the people, but if I cross that proscenium and start getting off the stage, it's going to cause problems. And I don't think people understand that. And a lot of content creators use people because they know they have certain influence over people. And I always tell you all there are no friends on YouTube. I always preface that with a caveat that if you are friends, you should let everybody know. But I think we have seen enough examples to really say that there is some validity to what is being said. And when you cross that threshold, start getting close to people and putting your personal business there and here and there, bad day come. And then this is what happens. And I think we can learn from that. We have hurt people. And we've seen it time and time again. We've seen it in romantic relationships. We've seen it in YouTube ships. We have seen it from the least to the greatest, meaning, maybe subscribers. And so that's what I say. And really, I think it's really interesting. YouTube is okay during your downtime, during time you may have time, but when you really have other things to do, friends off of YouTube, you only have time to squeeze it in when you can. And I think that a lot of people have really let this apparatus control a great deal of their life. And I've called YouTube a lot of things. And I still go with the Hunger Games because people want more. And you have to up the ante. And this is why it doesn't matter to me if I have 1,000 people or 25 people in the chat, because it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. And so this is what I say on today. No slight, no hate, no jealousy against any other content creators, but go back and look at what has been said. And one thing I am noticing, you all, and this is my observation, no judgment, just an observation, is that when you really start looking at truth, evidence presented that is valid, it doesn't always go the way of the people that you may like. Because justice in its real true form is blind. And the chips fall where they may. Truth is truth in my life. Truth is truth in your life. No one is immune from it. And I think people really think that you are following people, but you're just looking at the evidence. And I'm really realizing that people get sidetracked off of distractions instead of keeping their eye on the ball. I was talking about this Buddha situation, and I was just surprised. People are more fixated on who gave him money, allegedly, or his reasoning for doing this. And those things may be of interest, but what I keep telling the people is, did he tell any lies? Did the message contain errors? Because we'll start tearing Buddha up for sharing his truth, which has been substantiated by a lot of content creators who really have some serious credibility. But yet people want to attack the man for maybe getting paid. I don't know if he did or not. He said he didn't. He gave the reason why, and you can either believe him or not. But the biggest thing is the content in context, and is he telling the truth? Let's not get off the topic. Let's not get off the subject at hand. And we get sidetracked and argue about things that are not really important. In the Snoop situation, the biggest thing with me is, were you all gonna let somebody who didn't do what somebody may have claimed they did take the fall? Were you all gonna be quiet about it? And why now all of these sources? And my thing is, if you have the source, I saw a lot of things wrong with this hot seat. That seat wasn't hot. That was deflection. One minute I did it. The next minute I didn't do it. The next minute it was a source. No, I don't want you all to tell who the source is. But I didn't do it, even though I said I did do it. And I immediately left because I'm like, this is a farce. And you don't owe us nothing. But you can't play in both face. And people who are going to peel through this mess, they're not going to tolerate the clickbait, the bait and switch. And they're going to move on. And usually around about 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to find out, oh, okay, this ain't, I know what this is about. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Let me see what you all are saying. The Hunger Games for sure was a little bit of the purge. Yes, sir. How do you go? Correct. I mean, but I don't know. But it's so much. And again, people do a lot of things for these algorithms. Let me say Google AdSense, YouTube, whatever, even though you don't have a executive producer, Google AdSense lets you know when you are not doing well or when you're doing well. And they will send you stuff saying, "Great job this week," and then that AdSense check start creeping up a little higher. You all got to realize that that's a mechanism to really push you to do a lot of things that you may not do. And think, if a algorithm, if a computer could push you to do that, think about somebody who's real, who's tangible, who's there in the flesh, and what they could make you do. If a computer can make you do these things, then you can imagine what a real person could do. And I'm just bringing these things out, you all. And I'm no YouTube expert, but these are some things that I have seen and witnessed and have dealt with from YouTube. These are my experiences. If I have a typo, I'll correct it. I'll correct it. I'm not perfect. I'll correct it. Somebody said, Jay, do you think William for his channel? Now, some people think that William should be compensated because his channel was taken down. I don't know. Somebody could argue, well, should William compensate people for some things that he put out? I don't know, you all. I really don't know. I sit back on that. I'm on the fence on that one, to be honest. Vince Hill was telling the truth. Larry Reed is scared because Vince Hill has more. Yeah. Let me say this, you all. I have heard no one come out and say that Vince Hill is lying. Even when Larry Reed came on to talk about that disgruntled employee, he did not say Vince was lying. He tap danced around the things, and there were specific questions. Did you and this man have a relationship, sexual relationship, for 13 years? Why is he saying this? And if you all didn't, then how can you prove this? You called him a disgruntled employee, but Craig and other people are saying, no, we thought you all were together. And let me say this. Molestation is nothing to play with. But this is what I really want people to know. I look at a lot of those altar boys and men in the Catholic Church who were SA'd. Some of them are married. It has really played a part in their lives, but it did not stop them from being married, because more than likely they were heterosexual anyhow. And so if you really were not gay, then it wouldn't be an issue. You did the things to take the heat off of you by getting married, but you still wanted to be with men. And maybe you're bisexual, but there are people who have been SA and are still heterosexual. And the problem that I have is you cannot keep on using that SA as an excuse to why you do what you do. And my thing is, if it's a major issue, and if you are not homosexual, then maybe you need to seek a licensed therapist, because all of this laying it on the altar and praying the gay away or whatever is not working for you. And I am tired of that, because there are many men and women who have been SA'd by same-sex people, and they are not gay. They lead productive heterosexual lives. That is just a part of their life that was stained, and they may have had issues with it, but they didn't go out and do that. Some people may. Some people it may have been, but you cannot use that excuse forever. Do the work and get the help. And that's really what I want to say about that, because I think the damning issue came when Craig, the writer, just validated V Hill. And you got to realize that he had mentioned this to Craig, the writer, V Hill did, way before all of these allegations came out. He just didn't tell Craig, the writer, this. He was struggling with this and talking to this man in private about the situation. And so when Reed came on via T.S. Madison show, T.S. Madison, they already knew what was going on. And T.S. Madison tried to cover you. She really tried to cover you. Because Craig and the other gentleman was asking you, were you no longer part of the community? And people really had an issue with him. You were being rude to him and everything. But see, they already knew. And then when Craig said that, yeah, he was trying to flirt with me too. Me too. Because it's a Me Too movement. It was deep. And I'm just sorry, this ain't going away in a month. Because just like you have accused others in this TD Jakes thing, people are calling you out not because you're gay or bisexual. People are not calling you out because we know folk make mistakes. They're calling you out because you act like you had done nothing. You really tried to nail TD Jakes to the cross. And don't get me wrong, I am not a TD Jakes fan. But you had no concrete proof. And the stuff that you tried to use as proof was really, really not strong. You tried to even put TD Jakes in the fact that you tried to put him in the same vein as Eddie Long. And I'm like, wow, y'all trying to slant this story like that? But now people are talking about you being like Eddie Long. And they're talking about how you look. And it don't feel good. And this is what I keep on telling you all. And I mean, I'm going to tell it until I can't say it no more. It's not important to you until it happens to you. See, it don't bother me when I'm doing it, but when somebody does it to you with proof, with things that look like it's valid, it becomes a problem. And see, y'all don't understand. People send out their pundits to do their jobs because people are on payroll to attack other folk. And I just think it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting that even in the beef sector, people have done things for other people. And then we find out that, oh, they really did do X, Y, Z. No apology, no nothing. And see, people say, wait a minute, you did this. You said this about this person. You maligned this person. And now you're going to act like nothing ain't wrong? I like Monique, y'all. I really like Monique. And I think Monique's plight is real because people have been saying the same thing. I agree with Monique. However, when her son came into this, I'm like, baby, charity begins at home and then abroad. And maybe if you get this situation cleaned up, then things will happen good for you. But the same thing you claiming that these people are doing to you, you're doing to your son. And that's your child. And you admitted that you weren't the mother that you should have been. And you hurt that child. And that child didn't ask to be here. And we understand that, but you're his mom. And ain't no man coming between you, and shouldn't be coming between you and your child, especially when you know you didn't do right. And I'm being real about that. It's accountability. If you want people to be accountable to you, you need to be accountable to people. If you're requiring all of these apologies from these people, then you need to apologize to your son and mean it. And you don't need your daddy sitting there talking about that boy, because the issue is really between you and that boy, that young man. And stuff, and she was very scared. The husband came, and to find out the boy was watching a cartoon and doing this and everything. And I thought that was telling, but that's your child. And I'm just gonna say that. Let me see what you all are saying. I'm parked now, so I can look at what you all were saying. He did say that. And what he did say was that the truth is gonna come out. He said if he get a knock on his door, he gonna testify. Now, somebody said, "Do you think William should about his life?" I think William should do what William think is best for him. I really do think that William should do what is best for him. You know, yeah, 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 Queenie, Mr. Wilson. The closer it gets to election time, please have about 4 hours set aside. We will, Adrena Hall, because I'm gonna tell you what. I'm this Fannie Willis thing. Fonnie Willis thing has been really interesting. And again, people are trying to say how unethical she was and everything. Okay, so she slept with that man, but it's not against Georgia law. And what Fonnie said is, I'm not on trial because Fonnie, and I don't think they reached the bar to dismiss her from the case. Now, did what she, what you know, did what she do was right and stuff. It could have been. It wasn't a good look. It was not a good look. But does it meet the bar of Georgia law? No. And that's the whole thing. It doesn't. I'm reading y'all comments now. Yes, he did, Queen Virgo. Paulette Waters, I do not know. And that's one person I have really not watched. But his name has come up a few times, and I really haven't watched him. But my thing is, you all, some evidence is just damning, period. You know, it is what it is. It's damning. They got you on. They got you on a recording talking about the arranged marriage, or what you said, contractual marriage. It's there. How do you deal with that? And no one has said that man was lying. Now, I don't care. He may not be mentally there. Somebody was mad because he was laughing and all that stuff. And I mean, I thought it was a little off putting myself until he explained it. But whether he was giggling or whether he picked that William, because ooh, when he started mocking William, baby, I know William was hot as fish grease on a 4th of July picnic. But where were the lies told? See, that's the whole thing. See, if the man had a tick, or if the man wanted to be famous and like Larry, or if TD Jakes paid him, because that's what the people are alleging. Okay, we heard all of that, but is he lying? Is the evidence not evidencing? Because I'm not getting off on no wild goose chase. My focus is the man lying? And can you dispute what he said? All of that other stuff is fluff. Get to the goody goody. Stop dealing with the fluff. Stop eating bread and the appetizers before your meal come, and then you too full to get the real meal. Because you done ate the appetizer and drank the water and all of this stuff. And didn't focus on the meal. Who did TBN drop? Let me tell y'all something. Did not the PTL scandal not let y'all know that people are capable of doing anything, and the more money people get, the crazier they are, especially in ministry. And a lot of you all are y'all. A lot of you all are shocked. Let me say this: when I worked for a Christian corporation, I saw it all. See, internet and social media has changed the game. But back in the time when there was no social media or it wasn't as popular as it was, baby, people was doing anything and everything they big enough and bad enough to do. Could you imagine if social media had been around with C.L. Franklin and Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith and all of them people, baby, it would be scandal, scandal, scandal. And let me tell y'all something. People sometimes, ooh, the gospel singers of the day, they really love the Lord. They didn't have all that stuff. Liar teller. They just didn't have social media. Queenie, I heard that. I heard that. I heard that. Somebody didn't get to go to Dubai. But now I heard a content creator say that he wasn't that type of boy. They said he wasn't that type of boy. They said, no, 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 no. He didn't look like a Tyler Perry man. And the content creator was saying that he was used for a mouthpiece. He was used to do the dirty bidding and protect. But when it came for those things, no, absolutely not. Now, that's what the content creator said. I really don't know. Somebody said that contractual marriage is a felony if it's proven the application was done unlawfully. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say, you all you got to do is sit back and watch and see things happen for a reason. And again, I was very confused with Craig and Chi Chi and all of those other guys. And I can't think of the other person's name. I was quite confused when they were saying that these things were happening, these things were going on. All right, Christopher W. I was very confused too, but I'm like, okay, it has to be something to this. And so we know in part, we prophesy in part. We don't know why people say what they have to say, but we need to be like Mary and ponder these things. And sure enough, now we know why Craig and that man was harassing, and I wouldn't even say harassing, but pushing Larry with these questions. And I'm about to call T.S. Madison T.D. Jakes again. Lord Jesus, help me, God. T.S. Madison really helped you. T.S. Madison really kind of stepped in between. Now I see what she tried to do to say, well, I want y'all to call me she, her, and she, her, and whatever the other one is. And so she was using those pronouns. And I get it. And then when Craig came back to validate what Vince Hill said, and all of this is allegedly because this is what they were saying. I'm listening to them. It made perfectly good sense. And let me say this, you all. When truth is true, baby, you don't have to go all over the river and through the woods with truth. When I was listening to Larry talk about what was going on with all the church members there, first of all, it didn't do you no favors because you sound like you were very controlling. It sounded like a whole cult over there, people living in your house, and you always care about people. You always care about people, and they always do you wrong. And it's always them. You know, And you did say maybe I was too caring. You took responsibility, but turned it around and said because I was too caring. But I'm listening to your story, and it's just not making sense. There's jagged edges. But now I look at Vince, and I listen to his story, and that junk is making sense like a puzzle. It is adding up. There is no, it's overlap. It ain't no gaps. It's overlap. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, and then what? And so his story makes sense even without the evidence. But then when you add the evidence to it, we hear you saying that you dealing with this contractual marriage. We heard what you said about y'all sexual activity because you said something that was like interesting, and we all hearing it. We're looking at these text messages. And then here's another man who don't even know Buddha that you done hired as a cook, and he's saying the same thing about the marriage. And he said, basically, I stayed in the country because I was married to the lady. And we know it was a marriage of convenience because why would this man go and get his girlfriend pregnant while he's married? Because it was a marriage of convenience. I mean, and these two people saying the same thing. Child. But yet you want us not to believe this. But yet you give us no solid evidence or anything to not believe it. Let me say this. I believe that some of these people really are in the dark. When this Eddie Long thing happened, there were people who really didn't know. And the people who don't know are not in the closer the circle is, the more people know. So church members may get a smattering, but they don't really know. But you better believe those people who were close, they knew. You can't tell me that you putting these boys in houses and you paying them salary and you don't know. The only reason why people didn't say nothing because it benefited them. It benefited them. It's benefiting them now. Why do you think that Jamal Bryant is sitting up there at New Birth? Because he is the epitome of holiness? Hell no. He's sitting up there because he can put butts in them pews. That's what he can do. People like a little mess. He's well known. He can preach. He sure can preach. Yes, he can. You can't say that man can't put them sentences together. Why you think Giselle was up down there? Because folk wanted to go see. And Eddie Long's son mad. Well, bruh, them people weren't gonna go down in the ship. Okay, that's your daddy, but the church, baby, they still owe money on that church. It's a business. Don't you get it twisted. So all I'm telling you all is don't get it twisted. But that Eddie Long thing, people didn't believe them boys. But I'm like, ain't no man gonna tell you that you done got touched and all of this stuff and come and knowing how. And then the ridicule that they were going to have to face. And this is why a lot of victims don't come forward because of all of this stuff. And they don't want to be in the news cycle. And they would rather suffer in silence. And it's sad. But he never said those boys were lying. Never. And now you got Jimmy Battles coming out and saying, because they covered for that man. They covered for that man. And what I feel, and like I said, this is my observation, and I'm not saying this is fact. This is something that I speculate, but I feel that this is a network. I think that there are a lot of people in this network, And I think that this network is baby, this is like, to me, this is the gospel version. This is the church version of Weinstein and Epstein. And I think it follows Epstein more because there are a lot of people who are going to be revealed. Let me tell you something. I don't know that apostle or that prophet or that man in Louisville, Kentucky, but baby, this is affecting him. And this is why Larry is already apologizing, because this is going to affect folks. And it's giving very much Epstein in the church. And it seems like some of Larry's friends are Ghislaine's. They are the Ghislaine's. They are the Ghislaine Maxwells of this operation. And I believe the tentacles are very long. Now that's my speculation. I'm not saying this is fact. I'm saying this is what I speculate. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, because, baby, Jimmy Battles told it. And let me say this. This is a boy. Now he's a man. But at this time, this was a young man, a naive young man in the church, a Pentecostal church. Touch not my anointed, do my prophet no harm. Don't speak against the man of God. And when he did tell his truth, what happened? Folk covered for him. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to give Ted Haggard his props. The disgraced mega church pastor in Colorado Springs who preached against homosexuality, but yet he was having sex with a prostitute and doing meth. But this is where I'm going to give him props. At least it was somebody grown, somebody accountable. Okay, now the meth was a little wrong, but at least it was that. I'm going to give him that at least. So I think that this onion is going to be peeled. And you all can say what you want about Buddha. I don't know Buddha personally. I don't know Larry Reed personally. I looked at their show when they first started. But all I'm saying is that the evidence is evidencing. And until somebody can bring something up, then this is how it looks. If Buddha is lying, take Buddha to court. Not mediation. Not mediation, to court. So they can do some discovery. I'm just seeing people running games and doing slants and all of this stuff. I'm seeing it in the beef sector. I'm seeing it in the carnal church sector, whatever you want to call it. And let me tell you what was really disgusting to me. As Buddha was giving his testimony or doing question and answers, I could not believe some content creators were so rude to. I don't know who this donut or do not person is. You're despicable. You are despicable. The only reason you did that was so people can see you. And then you don't have a stitch of evidence. And I'm just like, man, sit down somewhere. And then he started fighting with Thais. And I'm like, Thais, come on, stop fighting with that man. You giving him what he wants. And then it makes you look like, wow, Thais, you can't even control yourself. This man is trying to give his question and answer. But now we're taken away by your brawl with this man and can't focus. And I'm going to say this, Thais, whether you like Buddha or not, whether you thought his laughing was unnerving, do you think he's lying or not? See, that's the real crux of the matter. Do you think he is lying or not? And if you think he's lying, then tell us why. And what proof do you have? Do you have something that we don't? Because again, people attack Craig and Chi Chi and that other vlogger. But then in the end, we found out what was really happening behind the scenes because they already knew. They knew something we didn't. So do you know something we don't? And I really didn't want to say nothing. I just said I'm here, and then I want to ask my question because I look. I ain't trying to clout chase. I ain't trying to do all that stuff. I ain't I am trying to listen because if he would have said something that was off, I would have said, well, wait a minute. How did this happen? But I'm telling you, this man is no joke. And when he said that he will go to court if they knock on his door, that was telling. That was very, very telling. Because folk who lie ain't trying to go to court. Have y'all ever seen Matlock and Columbo and Murder She Wrote? And when she was finding out, oh, no, Jessica, no. And then they trying to, oh, well, this is ludicrous, Jessica. How a man of my stature, but you, people try to use my reputation. Not me. Or they always trying to plant it on somebody who it lines up with so they can take the heat off of themselves. And I'm seeing this in YouTube. You know, when people telling the truth, then we try to attack their mental stability. Well, you know, he's crazy, or he's a disgruntled employee. Okay, so is the disgruntled employee telling the truth? He can be a disgruntled employee, but is what he's saying lie? Is what he's saying a lie? So anyway, you all don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Look at the evidence. And let me say this. There could be something that will come that may change the story. I don't know. But if it does, I'm going to scrutinize that. And I'm going to say, okay, what's going on? What's happening with this? How did you get this? It's always who, what, when, where, how, and why. Now, Buddha done told y'all why. But let me say this. Let's say hypothetically that TD Jakes did give him the money. Let's say that hypothetically. Is it a lie? Because somebody had to be funding somebody to be lying on TV. So I'm gonna leave y'all alone. Let me tell you something. I don't care if TD Jakes allegedly, and I'm not saying that because we don't know. And all of this is throwing spaghetti against the wall. But one thing I can say about TD Jakes is he said what he said and he kept his mouth shut. And see, it's okay to keep your mouth shut when you know the stuff ain't true. Now, we do know that TD Jakes was at Diddy's birthday celebration. You know why? Because we saw him. We saw him. And TD Jakes ain't never denied that he was at Diddy's party. He said it was a business situation. He wanted to wish the man a happy birthday. But what we did not see, or what we do not know, is what TD Jakes did at Diddy's party. People trying to put stuff on TD Jakes that we have not seen or no one has mentioned. I ain't seen TD Jakes yet in drag. I have not seen a television or a newspaper article saying that TD Jakes has done anything in Charleston, West Virginia. But yet people are saying it. Ooh, look at how he looking at that man. Now let me say this: how he looking at that man was suspect, but maybe he was looking at the man's dance moves. I don't know, but that is not saying that the man did something, because I'm sure the dancer would have been telling it. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Are there some things that are suspect? Yes, but we did, baby. We heard in concrete language what was going on with Buddha and Larry Reed through text, pictures, voice recordings. We heard those things. So I just think we need to be very careful. Let me say this, y'all. It's a pastor in South Carolina, and Vicky Winans was married to this man. He dead, but I believe had he been living, he would have had to face some charges because there was newspaper, baby. I'm talking about newspaper. I'm talking about reputable sources talking about this particular bishop and what he was doing to folk in the church. That is concrete evidence. So I'm going to leave it at that, you all. And I don't hate any of the content creators. I'm not lying. I don't. I called some names, and I don't hate y'all. But your actions and how you moving is questionable because, again, you're trying to lead people to things that are taking them off the trail. Now I didn't like how Vincent was doing that laughing. And he explained why. And I wish he would have explained it first. But that does not diminish the evidence. Yes, he mocked William McCray. Now that was funny to me. I know William didn't think it was funny, but I knew it made him mad. Because baby Vincent started mocking William. Baby, that thing had me tickled. I know he mad. But does that diminish the evidence? No. Now Vince didn't lie. He apologized to William McCray. He said, I'll try to get the files back. So he didn't lie about it. He took ownership. I thought that was very interesting. Somebody said Larry keeps saying it's all coming out of Texas. Well, wasn't it all going to Texas? Wasn't all roads leading to Texas when he was attacking that man? See, I knew this was bull crap when you was telling people to go support his ministry, even though you were trying to say that this man was grooming people. And I'm like, wait a minute. How you going to tell people to go to this man's ministry, but yet you know that this man is grooming folk? Well, what does that say about you? Because my thing is, if you know he's grooming people, then you should be trying to take him out. Because there should be no more victims. And all you talked about was money. But see, it was no big issue when all roads lead to Texas. But now when all things coming out of Texas, then it is. Prove it. Prove it. If this is coming out of Texas, prove it. But see, even if it is coming out of Texas, is the information wrong? Is the information lying? Is it false information? Because the information ain't coming out of Texas. All roads lead to Buddha. Because Buddha is the one who alleged that y'all had a relationship for 15 years and a sexual one for 13. Child, y'all better stop with these people. Huh? All roads leading to Buddha, because Buddha is saying what y'all did. Buddha is sharing tapes of what y'all talked about, and y'all conversate. I ain't hear TD Jakes in them things talking. I don't hear TD Jakes. Hey, how you doing? I didn't hear TD Jakes. I heard you and Buddha, according to those videotapes. So, y'all, that's all I got to say on it. All I'm going to say is look and listen. Sit back. Don't be too hasty. All I'm saying is right now, I am looking at what Buddha presented. I am looking at what Larry presented. And what Buddha has presented seems more plausible than what I've seen Larry present. Now, not to say that Larry can't present something in that shift, but right now, this is what it is. See what I'm saying? It don't have nothing to do with their personality. Now, one time did you all hear me malign Larry and call him out of his name and call him this, and the third? I sure have not. Like I have not done Buddha. I am looking at the evidence presented. Now, I don't know if Jakes is behind the man or not. It ain't none of my business. But all I can say is if Buddha is lying, take him to court. Not the mediation. Take him to court and sue him. Now know that when you take him to court, it's called counterclaim. It's called examination of all parties. It's called discovery. And I think people are afraid to go to court because discovery means that you will be discovered. Baby, look, these people playing. These people playing, children. Y'all, I might click out. I apologize. Okay, I'm back. So I'm coming out my car. I'm getting out my car. So, baby, these people are playing. And my thing is, like I said, with the beef sector, I'm saying for all sectors. I'm not on this personality thing. I'm not on this person's team because I like them, or I'm not on this team because I think they doing this, and the other. I am looking at this evidence, and I'm looking at what is being said and what is being presented. And I'm gonna say this: if you a ride or live, we're gonna ride and live with you, but we ain't gonna ride and die with you. And living meaning that we checking evidence, we checking receipts, and we checking the receipts really hard because we don't want to get a Walmart receipt for a Publix purchase. Because I think a lot of people trying to give us a Walmart receipt, but the items was purchased at Publix. Somebody ain't gonna say, y'all ain't gonna say nothing to me. Y'all ain't gonna say amen. I'm gonna preach this by myself. Y'all don't hear me. Some people are presenting a Walmart receipt for a Publix purchase. Baby, if you said you purchased at Publix, then the receipt needs to say Publix. Stop presenting these Walmart receipts for what you bought at Publix. Y'all trying to conflate things. Y'all trying to make things fit narratives that y'all know that don't even go. This is why I'm looking at the B sector people like y'all believe this foolishness. Y'all doing this because people want you to take that receipt. And I'm not taking that receipt. Even though it's a receipt. And let me say this. You can them steaks at Walmart. But if it says Publix, it's steak, but where you bought it from is the problem. I see that there's steaks, but you said you bought the steaks at Walmart, but yet the receipt says Publix. And we understand that it's a steak because you're trying to harp upon the fact that it's a steak. And I get it. I see that it's a steak, boo, but the receipt is wrong. You had the wrong store. Ooh, y'all don't like this kind of teaching, but that's okay. We're going to see what happens. So look, I got to go because I'm getting ready to go play some racquetball. And I appreciate you all for listening. But let's see this stuff play out. I'm going to watch this Snoop stuff play out. I'm going to watch this Larry Reid stuff play out. And it's not going to cause me to gain money or lose money. But I think there's some lessons to be learned from these situations. I think there are no friends on YouTube. Stop sharing how you feel with folk who you don't even know. Subscribers, stop trying to get close to these content creators because it don't end up well. And if can I say something, baby? Let me say something. I ain't going nowhere yet. Let me say a little bit more because I feel this in my spirit. Somebody say he feel it in his spirit. Somebody say he feel it in his spirit. I feel this in my spirit. If a content creator is so engaged in your personal life or asking you questions, it needs to be a red flag. I have talked to Vivian. I cannot tell you any Vivian's business. Now, I know a few things, but they're not salacious things.
because I'm not trying to get up all up in her business. Neither she me. Baby, when people start asking you questions and tell me a little bit about your family and stuff, you better leave that alone because you're getting ready to get set up. What do you think about this person? Again, if you didn't say it on YouTube, I don't think you should say it to a person. And I say anything I done said about somebody with somebody, I done said it on YouTube, or I'm about to say it. If you say you like somebody, you better watch it. Let me tell y'all something. People will send you information about people and try to get you set up. Because you know Jay said this about you, Vivian. Come on now. That's why I ain't on the phone with folks. Yeah, I mean, you better be careful. If you send some tea, be prepared to be acknowledged as the source. Don't send me no tea and don't think I'm gonna tell who sent it. We see how that works when you got these anonymous sources. Baby, if you bad enough to send the tea, you should be bad enough to stand by it. Don't send tea that you ain't gonna stand by. Don't send pictures and mess that you ain't gonna stand by. See, this is what pissed me off with some of these people. They let these anonymous sources make them look stupid. Let me tell you something. If you send me something, and I'm telling you, if you send me something, you better stand by it. Don't send me no tea that you ain't willing to stand by. Who sent it? Her. Who sent it? She. He did. And this is their name. This is XYZ, XYZ. Because what people want to do is send you this tea and they want you to go ahead and drop it. But then when it ain't right, they don't want to have no accountability for it. They don't want to take the credit for it. They don't, see, we ain't in journalism. I ain't willing to go to jail for a source. You gonna stand by your stuff. Because if you give it to me, I'm gonna tell it. So note to self: if you tell Jay Wilson something, you better be ready to stand by it because he gonna tell it. I wish somebody would send me some cool la pictures, baby. I would have said, they sent it. They sent it. See, this is why you ain't gonna say. Let me tell y'all something. I learned this a long time ago. I saw people get set up because folk done sent tea, but yet they didn't want to drop it. They wanted somebody else to drop it. They didn't want to touch it because they knew that it could backfire. So let me go ahead and give it to somebody, especially if you're fighting or especially da 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 da. And they'll send it to you. I hope this help you. Oh, hell no. I know what you're doing, but are you willing to stand by it? Oh, don't put my name in it. Oh, hell yeah. You didn't have no problem putting your name in it when you sent it. Okay. So anyway, y'all, that's my sermon today. If you ain't willing to stand by it, don't send it. If you're not willing to face it, don't say it. If you gossiping about Sister Mary Jane, I'm gonna tell Sister Mary Jane, and are you willing to face it? See, because a lot of people will say stuff, but they don't want. They don't. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Am I wrong? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I'm just being real on today, y'all. So that's the only other thing I had to say today. And like I said, I know what some people think about me. People say you're a beggar, you're a scammer, and they can say that. And that don't bother me because my record, my real record, you can't prove it because I know I don't scam people. I'm really upfront about what I say and what I mean. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. Period. So I ain't never been no scammer. A scammer is a person who says one thing and do another. I say it and do it. Period. Do I beg? Okay, it depends on your definition of begging. I don't really care. I ask, you have not because you ask not. If you want to give it, you'll give it. If you don't, you won't. And we just keep on moving. So I know I hear all of this stuff, but one thing I can say is I made people laugh. I had a good time. But some people can't take that. So sometimes you just got to move on. And now, to me, it's about either you're part of the problem or part of the solution. And being part of the solution is seeing truth and acknowledging it, even when you may not like the person. Okay. So, with that said, y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Peace and love, and y'all take care.